Okay guys, in this video we're going to look at the hotels example. So this is an example of using conditional logic in VBA. So if you pull the day 3 examples file from Blackboard, that's the one that we're in, and it is the Beetlejuice Hotels case tab. So when we go to this tab, we see that we have a flowchart that indicates the flow of logic for the program. The idea here is that we have a hotel called Beetlejuice Hotel, and you can be various levels of membership for that hotel. So including gold, silver, and dung types of Beatles. And basically, if you belong to a certain membership level, you get a discount. And so what we want is a way to calculate in the Excel sheet, given somebody's input of their membership type, the number of nights of stay, and the room rate, that we end up with the resulting charge. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hit Alt F11 to open up the VBA Editor. And let's scroll down. First of all, if you're not on it, go to this workbook, that tab, and you'll see the code for the previous examples. So let's scroll down to Hotel. And the first thing we're going to do is declare our variables. So if you need a little refresher, we want to declare all the variables that are in the legend. So we need to have a variable name and then indicate the variable type. So M for membership, so we'll have dim, remember dim. Dim M as, because we're going to specify the type. So membership, that is something like, looks like gold, silver, dung. You can see that it's actually in quotes. That indicates that it's a string variable type. So your alphanumeric character. So dim M as string. Next we have the number of nights. So we'll go with that they are going to stay kind of an integer number of nights, not any parts. So dim N as integer. The room rate. So the room rate, something like, $100, $200, depending upon how nice the place is. And so that's looking like currency. So dim, you get RR, you can call variables anything you like, but we'll just use what's on the flowchart here. So dim RR as currency. Then we have the discount rate. That is indicated with DR here. So looks like a percentage, so we're going to use the single variable type. So dim dr as single, something like 0.25, 0.15, 0.05. And finally the charge, which is going to be a resulting currency. So dim C as currency. Okay, so that's always our first step. We have all the variables that we need. Now if we look at the flowchart, we see that the first thing we do is get the membership type, the number of nights, and the room rate as input. And then we start looking at a decision point. So really the way this is set up is we ask them first, is the membership, is it gold? And if it's gold, then they get a 0.25 or 25% discount. And then if you look, if they get the 25% discount, this actually comes all the way down here, and we're ready to calculate the charge. But if it's not gold, then we check to see if it's silver. If it is, then they get the 15% discount. And again, then we're actually ready to exit the conditional statements and calculate the charge. But if it's not silver, we check to see if it's dung membership. If it is, they get a 5% discount. Again, skip the rest and go down here. And if it's not, then that means that, well, none of these hit. So the discount rate should be set to 0. So this is our catch-all right here. So this will, if the membership type didn't check out that way, then we will just set it to 0. Okay, so let's go back up to the top. We're going to get the input from the sheet. So remember, we have to use range in order to do this. So it looks like our input range is E10, E11, and E12. So we have, remember to start with the variable name to set it. So M for membership equals range, and then parentheses, quotes. Then you have your cell number. So this is E10 dot value. You want the value, not the address. Then we have right below it the number of nights, n equals range E11 dot value. And then we have the room rate, so RR equals range. That's in cell E12, so E12 dot value. Okay, so we've now gotten those 3 variables set with values. The last thing we need to do before we can actually calculate the charge is get the discount rate. So now we're here. So we have to check to see if one of these is true. So because we have specific cases like gold, silver, dung, and kind of a default case, we're going to use that case statement that we saw. And also because we have equality. So we're not checking to see is it greater than, although you can do that. But in this case, it lends itself to a case statement. So in order to set up our case statement, we have the following. Select case, and after you say select case, you put in the variable of interest. So for us, that's the membership. So we want to select case on M. And then before I put any cases in, just to make sure that I don't forget, I'm going to say end select. So that actually will end the case statement. Okay, so now we're ready to put our cases in. So we say case, and then because it's a string, we're going to put the different cases in quotes. So case gold is our first one. Put a colon after, and so basically we'll tab in if it is the case. What this means is if M is equal to gold, that's what it's doing. It's checking to see equality here. Is if M is equal to gold, then we'll set our discount rate, dr, equal to what it says on the flowchart, equal to 0.25. And then we check the next case. So case, if it's silver, again in quotation marks, put a colon after, tab in, then we set dr equal to 0.15. Let me scroll down. Then we have case if M is equal to dung, so case in quotes we have dung, put a colon afterward, tab in, and I can set dr equal to 0.05. And then finally, so what I was kind of describing before was if none of these things is true, so they don't have gold, they don't have silver, they don't have dung membership, we want to still set that discount rate variable equal to something so that when we try to calculate the charge, it works out okay. So if they don't have membership, then they don't get a discount. So we take a look at the flowchart, we set it equal to 0. So the way we do that is our default case. This is the case that will happen if none of the others hit. So case else, oops, colon, tab underneath, dr equals 0. Okay, so this is our entire select case statement, and we have checked each and every one of these and set our discount rate accordingly. So only one of these things will be true, and only one of these assignments will actually happen. So now we're here, and we're actually ready to calculate the charge. So I'm going to scroll down. So underneath the case statement, we have just the equation. It looks like there's a little typo there. So what we have is the charge. So C is equal to the number of nights, so n times the room rate, so RR times the quantity 1 minus the discount rate. So basically you are multiplying the room rate by the number of nights of stay and then subtracting a percentage of that room rate. So that's what this does, it's simplified. Now, last thing we need to do is share it with the person who's using this. So in order to get it to go back out to the worksheet, we will do the following. We'll say, after the calculation's done, the range, what is our cell value? It's E18. So range E18 dot value is equal to C. It's our charge. And that is the end of the logic. So we can run it from here by hitting the play button. And of course there's no values in the sheet, so nothing happens. But let me put some values in here. So membership, let's try silver. Number of nights, we'll say 3 nights, and it's $120. So we'll run it from here first, and then we'll set up the button. So put my cursor back in there and hit play, and sure enough, out comes the charge. But if I want to make it a little fancier and make it so that if I hit this button, it will solve it for me. So let's change the room rate. Let's make it a little bit less, 90. I can right click on the button and go to assign macro. And then in this case, we want the hotel macro. So I'll select that one and then hit OK. And then click off of the button and hover over, and I get the hand. Click the hand and I get it to actually run. So you can do a couple test runs to make sure that it's working, and then you should be good to go.